metaphorical. But joining me now is Surabhi Prasad, who is the economy editor of Business Today, and also Chetan. Thank you very much, both of you. Now you've heard the two Prime Minister detail out a little bit about the FTA. So now I can grill you both. But Chetan, we were talking about automobiles earlier, but my research shows that it is only the super rich who are going to benefit. I'm not buying a Rolls Royce, I'm not buying an Aston Martin, I'm not buying a Jaguar. So how am I going to benefit now?
Well, the final details of the tax regime would shortly be notified, what we understand. But yes, we will be expecting, government will be allowing cars for common man also under this route through different mechanisms as well. Because remember, this is a whole fine print that the government, that both the prime ministers have announced. But yes, we will have to wait and watch the fine details and the final prints that will be coming along with it. But yes, the big news that's actually coming in for our viewers is that, this is very big news for the farmers as far as the trade deal is concerned, because the government has protected its dairy sector and agri sector, which is a big sign to the United States as well that India is not going to open up its farmer sector, the dairy products, and of course the agri products to US as well, which means it has not opened to England as well. So clearly, big news coming in for businesses to go global as well. We'll see a simplified customs and a single window clearance ease UK market entry. We will see Indian firms receiving equal treatment in goods, services and procurement, which will definitely boost ease of doing business globally for Indians as well.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about the economy. It has been a hard sell for Keir Starmer in his country because opposition was targeting him, saying that this is going to impact their people. But today he said that about £2 billion in wages will be put into the workers' pockets. But if we talk about India, we didn't really get a number there, how it's going to impact us. But can you explain to us, Indian economy, how is it going to benefit, and the people who are contributing into this economy, how are they going to benefit?
So it's a really big deal, and it's one of the biggest deals India has ever signed. And especially, at a time when there's so much global turmoil going on in terms of, US tariffs, and, that's one market where there's so much uncertainty. For India to actually finish this deal with the UK is a very big thing, especially because these negotiations have been going on for several years. And if you recall, so every Diwali, there was an expectation that this deal would be signed. So for India too, it's a really big deal, and it's going to really help the Indian industry and Indian people. The UK gets access to a lot of India's markets, which, since it's left the EU, it's been difficult for them. For India, with more investments coming in, I think already 6 to 7 British companies have already announced plans to invest in India. It's going to lead to more jobs, and also with, more exports from India to the UK in labor-intensive sectors, whether it's apparel, textiles, MSMEs. That's also going to create a lot of jobs for India. So I think it's a great move by both India and UK to quickly clinch this deal.
Suri, do you think the fact that America is playing such hardball currently with almost every country right now, could that have expedited this deal, which was stuck for too long? Because you're right, we've been talking about this deal, imminent deal, for a very long time. But suddenly, in the middle of the tariff wars, this deal comes through.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So if you see every country across the world, they're trying to right now, make these bilateral deals or, these three-way deals so that they are able to protect their own industry and their own exporters. So even if you look at India, India's already working on a trade deal with the EU, the negotiations going on with New Zealand. We are also talking to countries including Peru and Chile. And, these are all trade deals we're trying to do so that, we are able to protect our own markets, our own exports. And exports, while it's still a small part of our domestic, GDP story, but it gives jobs to millions of people across India in sectors from MSMEs to, even the farm sector and larger industries, of course.
Absolutely. Chetan, also Prime Minister mentioned how different sectors are going to benefit as far as India is concerned. But if we will of course wait for what the deal actually holds. But there is pharma sector, which again is seeing a lot of push from US. They're trying to stop the Indian pharma sector from really expanding in their country. But here we see that in these points, UK has been a little liberal. You know, you would have expected a same kind of a response, but UK has given up. So this has been a big win for India in certain sectors. Can you list those sectors?
Yes, well, absolutely. You know, you correctly pointed out that as far as the US and the pharma sector deal is concerned, India has a much more of a bit of advantage for certain medical devices like X-ray machines, stethoscopes, CT scanners are concerned. But to list out certain sectors where India really wins, because we see pre-FTA duty range from UK, India had a a agreement of about 70% tax in processed food sector that has become to zero. As far as transport and auto sector is concerned, you were pointing out there was about 18% tax that was imposed on cars that becomes to zero. Electrical machinery, headgear, glass, ceramics, textiles, clothing. Even in fact, if you recall the previous conversations, we were discussing very big about clothing and what kind of advantages India has. So now India would be having a 0% tax regime as far as this sector is concerned. Wood, paper, base metals, mechanical machinery, which attract up to 8 to 10% of tax, now becomes officially zero. Minerals, chemicals, plastic, rubber, instrument clocks, gems and jewelry, which were in the range of about 4 to 8%, have now become zero. Arms and ammunition, furniture and sports goods have also become zero from a range of about 2 to 4 odd percent. So clearly, India stands to gain big from these particularly 15 to 20 sectors that I've just listed down, from 70% to 2% of various goods and services that were being taxed very heavily have now become officially zero. So India stands to gain a very big aspect when it comes to acquiring a lot of market share globally. Subsequently, it's bound to increase India's exports, and of course, very big news coming in for MSMEs and other small firms who are rapidly developing and building in tier 2, tier 3 towns. For example, we have chemicals industry, minerals industry, we have sports goods, furniture, who are homegrown brands.
Right.
They now have a complete zero duty-free access to the UK.
Right, and as you rightly pointed out, MSME sector needs all the support that it can get, because it can be a huge contributor to the GDP and economy if given the right push. Let's listen in right now to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said after signing of the deal.
पहलगाम में हुए आतंकवादी हमले की कठोर निंदा के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर और उनकी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा वाली शक्तियों को डेमोक्रेटिक फ्रीडम का दुरुपयोग नहीं करने दिया जा सकता। Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी। डिफेंस और सिक्योरिटी में साझेदारी के लिए डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल रोड मैप बनाया गया है। हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी सिक्योरिटी इनिशिएटिव को और मजबूत करने पर काम किया जाएगा। इट इज अवर कमिटमेंट दैट फ्रॉम AI to critical minerals, semiconductors to cyber security, we shall create the future together.
So Chetan Bhutani and Surbhi Prasad of Business Today are continuing to stay with us. And Chetan, I'm going to come to you because one important point that was brought up is related to economic fugitives, economic offenders. There are declared economic offenders that are sitting in UK, and they have used the laws of UK and sometimes even cited conditions in Indian jails to escape any sort of an extradition and to be brought to justice in India. So how is this, although it was only done in one line, Prime Minister mentioned only one line about that, but how is this going to benefit India in terms of extradition of those offenders?
Well, it's a very strong statement and an indication to the offenders who are using the UK law. The Prime Minister in the United Kingdom giving a very upfront statement that economic offenders, and of course, we are also mentioning about the Pahalgam incident, Economic offenders will not be spared. India would do everything under its law and order situation and do multiple cooperative agreements with different nations to get those economic offenders back. Remember, we have 3 to 4 big names coming out who have done multiple thousands of crores of bank scams in the country and have eventually run away, and they are due to face courts in India. But yes, a very strong statement from the Prime Minister in the UK giving out an upfront message that economic offenders will not be spared.
Okay. That's an important aspect because that is one call that has been coming from all quarters of country, especially politically. Surbhi, talking about the economy, if we try and understand this trade deal a little more in depth from whatever we know right now, what would you say, is Britain the country which is benefiting more or India benefiting more?
I think right now we can say that it's a win-win or both are benefiting equally. For India, it means that it has an assured market in the UK and its exports. Well, the UK is not as big an export market as the US, obviously, but it means it has greater market access in the UK. It has assured markets. Issues like, social security, which had been a key sticking point and which is going to lead to higher repatriations to India, that has been sorted out. There's going to be more mobility of workers and obviously more job creation. So all this is going to really add up for the Indian economy. For the consumers, it's a good thing for India because from things you could buy abroad like chocolates, cosmetics, cars, scotch, all that is going to be much cheaper in India. Although it's going to be over the tariffs will be reduced according to a predetermined timeline of anywhere from 5 to 10 years. We must keep that in mind. For the UK as well, I think it's going to be equally beneficial. They have a much wider market, given India's market and population size. And I think since coming out of the EU, the UK had been facing problems in terms of imports, exports, trade. Its economy had been facing problems. So getting this trade deal with India is going to be equally sweet for them as well.
Right. Do stay on with us, both of you. Let's listen into what exactly Prime Minister Modi said about different aspects of this trade deal.
इंडो पैसिफिक में शांति और स्थिरता, यूक्रेन में चल रहे संघर्ष और पश्चिम एशिया की स्थिति पर हम विचार साझा करते रहे हैं। हम जल्द से जल्द शांति और स्थिरता की बहाली का समर्थन करते हैं। सभी देशों की संप्रभुता और क्षेत्रीय अखंडता का सम्मान अनिवार्य है। आज के युग की मांग विस्तारवाद नहीं, विकासवाद ही है। मैं प्रधानमंत्री स्टार्मर के गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत सत्कार के लिए हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। आज हमारे संबंधों में एक ऐतिहासिक दिवस है। मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि कई वर्षों की मेहनत के बाद आज दोनों देशों के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक एंड ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न हुआ है।
So you just heard the Prime Minister talking about the different aspects of this deal and how is it going to benefit both the countries, and our Business Today correspondents continue to stay with us. With us is Surbhi Prasad and Chetan Bhutani. Chetan, let's look at the different elements of this deal that has been signed between India and UK. Now, we were talking about how automobile industry is going to benefit, how India has protected its dairy sector, which is and agri sector, which is extremely crucial to India, and it is extremely crucial politically as well. But what are the things where the maximum tariff cut has been brought in terms of India receiving that tariff cut and also Britain receiving a tariff cut on their end?
Well, absolutely. Agriculture was the most sensitive topics as far as India is concerned. Well, the big news that's coming in is that the UK will offer duty-free access to 95% plus agri-tariff lines, which really means most of the tariffs that India and UK shared for agriculture, UK is going to open up maximum of them. UK is a premium niche market for agri exports. 20% of 20% of the export increase is scheduled to be happening in the next 3 years when the treaty goes through. It also includes sensitive agri sectors like dairy and edible oils to protect Indian farmers, because we see India is also a net importer of edible oil, as the production in India is very less, and India relies heavily on edible oil imports as well. So India has excluded that completely. The dairy sector, of course, is also a very politically sensitive and economically sensitive topic as well for India as well. So that also has also been excluded. If I may, tell our viewers about one of the biggest wins in this trade deal is the fact that India will definitely have a big win in the gems and jewelry space, because India currently exports about $941 million of gems and jewelry to the UK, and out of this, 400 million comes from the jewelry alone. So exports in the next 2 to 3 years, this is what government thinks, would double in the next 2 to 3 years. So clearly making a market of about 1,800 to 2,000 $1 million in the times to come. So big win for the gems and jewelry space. As far as the India's electronic sector is concerned, the UK has opened its sectors completely. Zero duty access to the UK for Indian electronics. So UK can do a massive buying in Indian markets for electronic products, and there will be zero duty for UK. So clearly, for homegrown brands who manufacture at a large scale or even at a smaller scale, have a big market open to the entire United Kingdom. So big win for the electronic sector as well.
Right. So we were also discussing how those who wish to either study or work in UK, things are going to be a little bit more eased from now on. But Keir Starmer was facing a lot of political backlash in his own country, saying that Indian workers will get a benefit vis-a-vis the UK workers. But he did clarify that's not going to be so. But in terms of, if we look from the perspective of Indian workers, how is it going to benefit?
So it's going to be a big benefit because, firstly, like we spoke about social security, that's been a key sticking point. Secondly, according to estimates, about 1,800 plus chefs, yoga experts, musicians, and other skilled professionals, they can work in the UK each year. They don't need a fixed office. So even if you don't have an office in the UK, you can go there and work for 24 months in 35 key sectors. So that's going to be a big thing in terms of, short stay visa kind of a thing. Also, there would be access to 36 sectors where there would be no economic test needed for Indian firms and researchers. So this will also help in easier mobility for them. So all this will definitely help. But like I mentioned earlier, sectors of both law and chartered accountancy, they continue to remain outside of this deal.
Right. Joining us now is India Today's London correspondent, Lavina Tandon, as well. Thank you, Lavina. Firstly, if you could tell us a little bit about the excitement that you're seeing amongst the people about PM Modi's visit and also this deal that is being signed between the two nations.
Can I just share the excitement of, if you have asked me, the diaspora?
Please go ahead.
Very quick turnaround. It was a very quick turnaround for the diaspora because this trip has been kept quite hushed for various reasons, security including, but yet there were 700 to 800 people who registered quite quickly, and 15 buses went and from 9 to 10 locations and welcomed him, including dancers, young dancers. I met Bharatanatyam dancers who were doing Ganesh Vandana, Kuchipudi dancers, and the dhol and the whole thing, the whole welcome really in the same, which has become a tradition almost here when Prime Minister Modi comes to London or anywhere abroad. Now, turning to the excitement about FTA, it is very exciting for both the countries. For India, Britain is a huge value market for Britain. India is a huge market, can we say it? And two industries. And so just quickly on the excitement, it has been brewing for a while. This 2035 vision was actually signed off by Boris Johnson with the Indian government, and that is being worked upon. It of course didn't happen in the times of Tories, and it has happened under a Labour government, but the work has been consistently happening and negotiations have been taking place. There is huge excitement within UK as well. It comes at a very opportune time because just this week, in fact, yesterday, if I'm right, the the new figures for car sales have come through in the UK, and they have gone phenomenally down. It is lowest in a while, and that is thanks to the US tariffs. So at this point, this deal comes as a huge relief, because car is the second market after Scotch whisky that is seeing a huge impetus, a huge opportunity in India. Now, apart from Scotch and cars, it's of course machinery and services and all the other stuff. But these are the two industries that are going to give a lot of jobs in the country, which is very much required, an impetus and an economic injection to of 4.8 billion in over a period of time, year to year, as we go to 2035. So these are just big numbers. What does that mean to a layperson? So for a layperson like me, who's from India, we get access to our favorite foods and jewelry and gems and footwear, but also in the larger market, because slowly UK has become it's a very diverse country. And as we see the skilled workers as well as the population from India, Pakistan and the subcontinent are in huge numbers here. So can I just quickly add about the topic of what the controversy about the NI being not taken for 3 years from the workers. Can I just add that in the UK, this has been the biggest opposition criticism by the opposition, that it is the jobs of the British workers will be cut by the Indian, and that's a huge problem. And Brexit was one of the reasons why this Brexit happened because of that. Right. But can I just add that 17 countries, actually, Britain has similar deals of giving rebate and relief for 3 years in NI with 17 countries. Okay. So the government denies that.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not, what you're saying, it's not fair to say that Indian workers are being favored. It is being offered to 17 countries. Do stay on with us. Let's listen to what exactly the two premiers said right after they signed the deal.
पिछले महीने अहमदाबाद में हुई दुर्घटना में मारे गए लोगों में कई यूके के नागरिक भाई बहन भी थे। उनके परिवार वालों के प्रति हम संवेदनाएं प्रकट करते हैं। यूके में रहने वाले भारतीय मूल के लोग हमारे संबंधों में एक लिविंग ब्रिज का काम करते हैं। दे did not just bring curry from India, but also creativity, commitment and character. इनका योगदान सिर्फ यूके की समृद्ध इकोनॉमी तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि यूके के कल्चर, स्पोर्ट्स और पब्लिक सर्विस में भी दिखता है। जब भारत और यूके मिले, और वह भी टेस्ट सीरीज के दौरान, तो क्रिकेट का उल्लेख तो करना ही पड़ता है। फॉर बोथ ऑफ अस, क्रिकेट इज नॉट जस्ट अ गेम बट अ पैशन, एंड ऑल्सो अ ग्रेट मेटाफॉर फॉर अवर पार्टनरशिप. देयर मे बी ए स्विंग एंड ए मिस एट टाइम्स, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building high-scoring, solid partnership. आज संपन्न हुए समझौते और विजन 2035 इसी स्पिरिट को आगे बढ़ाने वाले माइलस्टोन है.
We will also build on the fantastic work we already do in technology and innovation, celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the landmark Technology Security Initiative and making the most of the opportunities it represents for both of our countries. This morning, this is not the extent or the limit of our collaboration with India. We have unique bonds of history, of family and of culture. And
हमारे संबंधों का एक ऐतिहासिक दिन है। आज हम दोनों देश मिलकर के पारस्परिक लाभकारी FTA और डबल कंट्रीब्यूशन कन्वेंशन इसको संपन्न करने जा रहे हैं। ये अपने आप में भारत और यूके भावी पीढ़ी के लिए एक बहुत मजबूत रास्ता तैयार कर रहा है। व्यापार और उद्योग के क्षेत्र में एक नया अध्याय जुड़ रहा है। हमारे किसान, हमारे MSMEs, हमारे युवा, मैं समझता हूं उनके लिए अनेक नए अवसर पैदा हुए। इतना ही नहीं, 21वीं सदी ये टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन सदी है। ऐसे में भारत और यूके के युवा, उसमें भी स्किल्ड युवा, ये मिलकर के एक नए विश्व के निर्माण में बहुत बड़ा योगदान देंगे। 21वीं सदी की टेक्नोलॉजी नित्य नूतन इनोवेशन की अपेक्षा करती है। जब यूके और भारत के स्किल्ड युवा, उनका दिमाग, उनका हुनर जुड़ जाता है तो विश्व के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी विकास की गारंटी प्रोवाइड करता है। इससे रोजगार बढ़ेगा, एक प्रकार से स्किल मोबिलिटी को बल मिलेगा और मैं समझता हूं कि विजन 2035 उसको हमारी जो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है उसको नई गति मिलेगी, नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी। एक्सेलेंस, मैं फिर एक बार आपका हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। इस शानदार शुरुआत में भारत और यूके की एक भागीदारी को मजबूती देने में आपकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है। मैं आपका बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूं।
Okay, so you just heard Prime Minister Modi speaking while sitting with the UK Prime Minister, and one thing he especially pointed out was the collaboration between the youths of the two countries. He said when the youth of India and the youth of UK will work together, especially the skilled youth, then they will create a brighter future for the whole world. So Prime Minister Modi there speaking with the PM of UK and also addressing the media at large.